Warning. Strong language used in this video. Audio only due to tech issues. Sorry.
Hi there, I'm James T. Kaiser from Emerald Rangers, and you're watching the Spacies show on Spacies. Yeah!
Spacies.
G'day invaders and welcome to Spacies, and this is episode 6 of the Spacies show, and I am joined by an all UK affair here. And before I introduce you guys, thanks Retro Kaiser for that awesome introduction. Very kind of you. I've got Mean Machine Dean. Get it right that time.
Good to be here. There we go. We got it. Somebody's got it right. Finally, this is good. This is progression. I'm finally getting known for correct names. This is good. But anyway, it's great to be here.
Got Grumpy Retro Gamers. How you doing there, Ben? I had to get it right at that time.
get one of the names right, it'll be fine.
Chris is looking a bit pale there in the background. What's going on?
His hair's a little bit different as well. His hair's got a new style going on.
I like. I approve.
That's an improvement. And we've got Sorax Space. How you doing?
Hello, doing well, thank you.
All right, so these poor guys, it's 12:30 over there in the UK, I believe. Yeah, yep. Okay, we'll try and get through this as quick as possible. I put the shout out to everyone on Twitter for questions, and I got responses. I've got 8 questions there to get through. So we'll get straight into it, but first we have got a new person to the channel, and that is Mean Machine Dean. I have got to get through some questions with you. So first off, what was your first gaming console and game you played on it?
First gaming console was an Atari 5200, and the game I played on it was International Karate. There you go.
That's actually a decent title for the time, yeah.
It is. It is. It's not too bad. The story was my brother and my dad were playing it. I kind of was intrigued. They walked up. I grabbed thy stick and held thy stick and completely failed at the game. Then got taught how to play the game, and then completely ruined my dad and brother it, into which I was then frog marched out of the room. So, yeah, that's quite a fun memory.
And favorite game of all time?
Oh, well, you see, I say this, and then everybody just goes, "Oh, it's not the obvious choice." But it is Metal Gear Solid 1 and PS1. So. Just because I think it combines the best of new tech and new graphics and a very good storyline, and it's consistent all the way through. And it was the one time when I played a game and suddenly just had that, like, whoa, this is a big step in gaming, where it had a great storyline, and then obviously the advancements that they had with, clever AI that followed you with footprints, which I didn't realise was even possible until I then got caught and had a AK-47 shoved down my face, virtually, of course. So, yeah.
And what are you currently playing? Is there anything that is... you're not going between 5 or 6 different games at the time, are you? Are you concentrating on any one?
Not particularly. I mean, at the moment, the Switch is kind of slowly taking my soul away, Shang Tsung style. But yeah, so kind of dabbling with a few different games on the Switch. I'm trying to actually finish Zelda, believe it or not. So I've just been I didn't want to rush all the way through it, so I'm trying to just take my time with it. And strange enough, I've actually picked up NBA Jam on the Mega CD. Which I've actually been replaying.
That's what's running in the background. I've got that. It's amazing how long those load times are.
Oh boy, do you know what? I actually thought it went wrong. Like, I was looking at it and I was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And then all of a sudden it
goes
popped
into
up.
a
Was,
semi-coma.
Yeah.
But in the halftime intro, the videos are pretty decent for the time.
Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. Very strong. Very strong.
And Ben, what are you currently playing at the moment?
I've gone back to I've been playing a lot of Pokemon recently. I've gone back to Pokemon Moon, which I never fully finished at the time. I sort of put on pause for a while and then left it for some other games, but that's what I'm currently playing, is trying to finish Pokemon Moon as much as I can.
Okay.
It's a fantastic game, yeah. For the 3DS, sorry.
Yeah, 3DS. And Sorax, what's got your attention at the moment?
I'm currently playing a game called Wargroove on the Switch, which is like a battle strategy type game. And it's not really the type of game I'd usually be into, but someone suggested it to me and it's really good. And it's really addictive. So yeah, I'm playing that at the moment. I would suggest anyone to give it a look.
Not one I'm familiar with, actually, I must admit. Okay. All right, so we're going to get stuck into the questions. The first one's from Vic at Retro Electro Models. Great name. Vic, take it away.
All right, Spacies. It's Vic from Retro Electro Models. My question for you, somewhat obviously, is if you could have a mini of any home computer or console, which one would it be? And you're not allowed to choose the Mega Drive 2 because Trista Bytes keeps going on about that one, so I've banned it. Cheers.
I've got one or two suggestions for this, but I might start off with you, Sorax. What console would you like given the mini treatment next?
The Mega Drive 2. No, well, mainly, I do have to say that, to be honest, because that was my first console, was the second model of the Mega Drive, so that would be nice. But if he isn't banning this one, the Mega CD would be lovely to actually have the actual model.
As suggested by Game Telford. Did you see that post?
He actually, Game Telford. Yeah, it's a great account. If not already following it, follow it on Twitter. It's brilliant. He made a mock of the on April Fool's Day of the Mega CD Mini, and I actually tweeted him back saying that's actually a really good idea, and I would actually buy it because there's a lot of games that are hard to get. And I don't currently own a Mega CD, so that would be brilliant for someone like me. So yeah, the Mega CD, or even the Sega Saturn would be quite nice as well.
Yeah, there's quite a few consoles that need the treatment. Dean, what would you be wanting to see resurrected?
Do you know what? I'd like to see some of the old home consoles. I'd like to see a Commodore Amiga made small. That'd look really nice, I think, on a shelf. But I think what also would be quite nice is something like a Neo Geo, something out of left field, something a bit different that would actually be affordable.
But didn't they do they did the Neo Geo arcade, but that was one, expensive, and two, crap, from what I've heard.
Yeah, do you know what? It was strange with that because I bought my brother one for Christmas, and we got the international version, and I was like, international version, and then they were like, yeah, basically ironed out all the crap that was wrong with the Japanese one. I was like, okay, all right, fine. I bought the correct one, but yeah, I'd like to see a small like proper Neo Geo, or even like a Neo Geo CD or something like that. Something that's not the standard thing that people would go for, just to be completely out of left field. But yeah, going back to like a kind of a Sega theme, a multi-mega, which is something that I own, actually, I think on a small scale could be quite interesting, but I don't quite know how you get that eject mechanism to work. But hey, that's not my problem.
Ben, what would you be wanting to see resurrected?
My one was Sorax took mine. My initial one, when it came to mind, was the Mega CD. I just got a soft spot for that system, and so as he rightly says, that a lot of the titles are so hard to find, and if you do find them, they're quite high value these days. But if I wasn't to choose that, because Sorax has already had it, I would go with the Dreamcast for the same reason. Some of the titles are so hard to find, in my opinion, and it's now getting to the point where I feel that console is actually nostalgic. It's because it's the final system. It was their final farewell, sadly, but on the hardware market. But yeah, the Dreamcast Mini would be great.
I'd like to see a mini of the whole tower, the Sega Tower, including the 30 whole thing, a mini of that. Or the Game Boy Micro, that'd be good as a mini console. I'd like to see a smaller version of the Game Boy Micro.
A functioning one.
Yeah, that wasn't small enough, I think. It just wasn't.
Well, they did a Game Boy Micro, so it kind of did happen.
I know. I want a smaller version of the Game Boy Micro.
A micro. Okay, why not?
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't know. Saturn. I'd have to go with Saturn, or actually, where is it? There. The GameCube actually would make a decent mini console. Just make them all mini. Let's just do them all.
I'd like to see how you get the 4 controllers into a mini console. That'd be really hard to fit in a line.
I'm sure they'll find a way. Yeah, great question there, Vic. Thanks for that. We're going to move straight through because we've got so many questions to get through. Uncle Chunt, in his whole chuntiness, has got a great question for us. Uncle Chunt, take it away.
There comes a time in everyone's life when you have to choose who has the most magnificent beard in all of gaming, real person or polygonal. Who do you choose? Choose wisely.
Yeah, not something I'm expertised enough to be able to comment on. But anyway, we'll go with the beards first. Dean, any beards, gaming beards that come to mind?
I haven't got a clue. I'll be honest.
Have you not thought about this before? How have you not thought about it?
Well, because I already have an epic beard, so and I play games, so surely I would answer that myself. But that aside, I mean, the only character I can think of that comes to mind is I think the dude from Final Fantasy VII. I think he had a beard, right? The guy with the cannon arm, whose name I completely forgot. Did he have a beard, or am I talking rubbish there? I seem to remember him having a beard.
Barrett.
What was it? Barrett. Yeah. Did he have a beard? I think
he did. He did.
There we go. I will go with him. There we go. Aha. Success.
All right. So Ben, any beards that come to mind? What a weird question.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm not sure that it's fair that I should answer this question because everyone with a beard looks absolutely ridiculous, don't you think? So I'm not sure I can answer that. I have no idea.
Steve Buscemi just winked at you when you said that. So.
No beard needed there.
No beard there. No, nothing. I'm not sure really. It's not very memorable, is it? Who's got a gaming character? I assume he means.
So really sure. I just thought of Zangief, like, and that's about as much as you're going to get out of me now. I think that's as far as I can go.
Sorry.
Does Kratos have a beard? That's the
yes,
only one
he certainly does. My brother's a dead set ringer, lookalike for that. I was going to answer Kratos as well.
That's the only one I can think of, to be honest.
Gilius Thunderhead.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, there's another one. All right. So we're not really up on the whole beard question. I didn't think it was.
Gaming beards are not our thing, clearly.
Yeah, obviously.
Axel in Streets of Rage 4.
Oh yeah. I just had to think about that because it's like I don't associate beards with Streets of Rage. So the remake, or not? It's not a remake. The sequel, I should say. When I saw that beard on the trailer, that really threw me off at the start.
I think there is one glaringly obvious one, and whether he's just got a moustache or not, I can't picture it. But Dr. Robotnik.
No, it's just a mo.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just a mustache.
Controversial.
Well, that shows one of my favourite game franchises of all time.
And I'm looking around, I can't.
Wait.
Yeah, no, Robotnik has just got a mustache. The plushie doll behind me answers that.
You're right. Yeah, it doesn't count. Sorry.
What's that guy from Last of Us? I've forgotten his name.
Oh, that's a good shout.
Joel?
Yeah.
I think his name's Joel.
Yeah.
From Last of Us. Yeah.
I've got The Last of Us. I haven't played it yet.
I don't think he had time to shave, did he? With what's going on there.
Oh, what's that? Zombies? Bang!
Yeah.
That's right. Hang on, I'll be done in a minute. Gillette, best a man can get. Hang on. Right, bang! There we go.
All right, so we'll move.
Other shaving brands are available.
We'll move along. Thanks for that, Chunt. That was really well delivered, that question, by the way, I must admit. Right, Lucas from Aussie Gamers, Aussie Gamers Experience, I think it is. Yeah, Aussie Gamers Experience. You got a question for us, mate. What is it?
G'day everyone, Lucas here from the Aussie Gamers Experience, and today I've got a question for you guys on the Spacies show number 6. So g'day Brian and g'day guests. My question for you guys is, what game code / cheat do you remember from your childhood that you will always remember? Something that you used to always use in a game you were playing. You know, back in the day, you would get the back of Hyper magazine and you'd go to the cheats and have a look. What is the biggest and the best one that you just will always remember because you always used it? For me, personally, it is the blood code for Mortal Kombat, which is ABACABB, which is a little bit of trivia for you. Abacab, which is an album by the band called Genesis. And Mortal Kombat was on the Genesis. That blood code wasn't on the Super Nintendo because they were a bit precious back in those days and couldn't have blood. Well, that's my question to you guys. Enjoy the show, and I'm Lucas, and until next time, I will see ya.
All right, thanks for that, Lucas. I've got an answer for this. I'll kick off. Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Press up and press button B 8 times to continue, and it will cost you 400 whatever the dollars or were in that game, Redaxian dollars. Yeah, that's my answer. What have you guys got?
I seem to remember. Well, there's two really. There's one from Super Mario Brothers 3 when you can drop, like, I think it's on. I can never remember if it's the first level or the third level where you can actually drop behind the whole scene. You end up running behind like most of the level and you pick up a magic wand that takes you into like further levels. I remember that one fondly, being quite shocked when I suddenly discovered that. And then the other one is Donkey Kong Country, when you can do near enough exactly the same thing. And as you move from one level to the other, you sort of press a combination of buttons, and as you get to the next one, it transports you to a wonderful land where you can just skip most of the game if you're left a coward.
Is that a cheat or a glitch?
Oh, no, it was a genuine cheat that was added to the game, apparently.
Okay. So. All right. Sorax?
It's hard to remember off the top of my head. I remember using the stage select in Sonic on the Mega Drive quite frequently. And also the Aladdin on the Mega Drive as well. I can't remember it now. There's a lot of combinations of A, B, B, A, etc. I don't remember it now. But I use that a lot. And obviously the Konami code, but I never used that as a kid, but that's the cheat code that probably comes to most people's minds.
I was going to mention the Konami code. If we don't mention that, then yeah. And even Stadia, Google have put that code on the back of the controller that they're going to give out. Okay, I guess that's their attempt at reaching out to the retro gamers.
It makes us cool if we add that to our controller.
Yeah. They're going to have to do a little more than that, I think, to get us on board. Okay. Ben.
Yeah, Sorax mentioned Sonic for the Mega Drive. There was actually another cheat on that game where you could turn Sonic into a ring and loads of other sprites, and you can add these sprites wherever you wanted in the level.
Yes, the debug
configuration mode or something, but it really screwed the game up. I think it must have been a developer test mode where you could add any of the sprites you wanted to anywhere in the whole game map. But if you added too many sprites in the level, it would really screw the game up. When you went back to play it as Sonic, it would crash the game most times. That's one of my most memorable.
I wonder if that could actually damage the Mega Drive. If you could just keep.
I did wonder, yeah. When I tried it a few times, it really
the damn thing trying to process all those sprites.
Yeah, hit the reset button on that one a few times.
And next on Grumpy Retro Gamers is they set fire to their Mega Drive.
Yeah, it should be the next Let's Play, Sonic and Big Mode.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Lucas. Yeah. Probably came up with some really cheesy cliche answers there, but I don't know. There was a few really good cheats but I think you were more specifically asking about the code, and your reference to the Mortal Kombat blood code was referring back to the Genesis album, what was it, Abacabra or something like that?
It was Abacab. Yeah. Was the code, was the cheat code.
And that was referring to the Genesis Genesis album, which is a nice little nod to their, I don't know, any Genesis fans here?
I'll do this on Nintendo. That's how the advert went.
Alright, so we're going to move on now to, Top Loader. Top Loader, what have you got for us?
It's a Spacies show, and welcome to the goddamn Spacies show. No, I'm not on this episode. You guys sad, but don't worry, I'm here in spirit and on your screens right now, so you gotta listen to me until next minute. So about 2004, around that time, I kept hearing this phrase that always bugged me, and it was called hardcore. I used to hate that terminology. I still hate it now, to be honest, because I think that that terminology, or that word, gets flung around in the air as crazy as what I'm going through my head half the time. I really do believe that people have, like, misconstrued what that term actually means. There are no hardcore games, because nobody can determine what a hardcore game actually is. It's the game of it makes it hardcore, not the games. They could be playing Tetris all day, sitting in their fucking living room playing Tetris on the fucking smartphone all day. That means they're a hardcore gamer because they're playing it all the time. They're getting really good scores because they're playing it all the time because they know the game so well because they've been playing it all day on their lounge. That's what I just said, and that's my whole argument here. It's not the games that's hardcore, it's the gamer themselves. So it would be nice to hear what other people have to say about it as well. Alright, let's end this video now. And you know, for future reference, if you do want the actual answers, you gotta ask me the questions, because I'm gonna give you always the right answers. Ciao.
Okay, thanks for that, Top Loader. And disclaimer time here. He sent this question in about 3 weeks ago, and since he sent that in, a tweet was sent out on Twitter from some less desirable human being than you'd want to be dealing with. He sent this guy on Twitter sent out a tweet saying that anyone that have you got the Twitter? Does anyone know the tweet I'm talking about?
All I've seen is a screenshot of the actual text, but I've not actually seen the origin of where it came from.
No,
as far as I'm aware, it's just a made-up bit of text that someone's sort of just posted at one point. I don't know.
It kind of makes me wonder if there even was a person out there that actually did tweet that, or if it.
I don't think there was.
No, this seems a little bit suspicious. That
I think it's just a tool to just build a bit of outrage. Build a bit of outrage and get some attention and get some likes and retweets. I don't think anyone actually tweeted that.
Well, it worked.
It definitely worked. It caused the conversation. That's always good.
Yeah. So, well, that again is another topic. I personally don't like giving trolls any attention whatsoever. And I spent all day yesterday saying that online and got shut down. So I said, well, then the trolls win. But it opens up dialogue, which is exactly what the trolls wanted. So, anyway, Top Loader wasn't the troll. He was just asking, basically, his example being that if you are playing Tetris and you are really good at Tetris and you play nothing but Tetris, does that make you any less of a hardcore gamer than, say, someone that's going out there playing 200-hour JRPGs and completing them left, right, and center? So, who's got a take on this?
Okay. You go, Ben. You go, Ben. I'm the lesser person here and less known. Your wise wisdom will come through.
That's not true. It's not true.
I'm only kidding.
But what was I going to say? Yeah, in my opinion, it is a sort of live and let live kind of ethos that I tend to live by. If you play any game at all, it doesn't really matter to me what it is. It could be just a mobile phone gamer, or a hardcore PC RPG gamer, or online gamer, or whatever. If you're playing it and you're enjoying it, you're not really harming anyone. I think you're a gamer. I think that's whether you're hardcore or not. I don't think it really matters. It doesn't matter to me anyway, and I don't think people should be ashamed to call themselves whatever they like. It is up to yourself, really. And whether it's Candy Crush or whether it's your favorite Zelda game, it doesn't matter to me. It just doesn't matter.
Have you just admitted to playing Candy Crush?
I've heard of it. I've never played it. I don't play games on my mobile. I tried it once. It wasn't a nice experience, but it's consoles for me all the way. But yeah, it just doesn't matter, does it?
No, and I think that's a valid point. I think there's too much attention on, you must be dedicated to the cause and fight for Fortnite and all this BS. End of the day, if you enjoy something, whether that's, I don't know, crochet or planting pots with, I don't know, random seeds that you've obtained from a random garden, or it's gaming. Who cares? As long as you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, it shouldn't even come into question at all whether you're considered hardcore or not. Even though the casual gaming market is the biggest gaming market of all time, so whoever said hardcore gamer can go and stick it. So there we go.
Yeah, it's a good point with the growth of the casual gaming market. I mean, gaming's changed from years ago. It was sort of either you played games or you didn't. Nowadays, everyone plays games, really. Where the casual market's grown so big, as Ben was saying and Dean was saying, the mobile market's so big now, everyone's playing games. So there's just sort of people that play games casually and people that really play games. So I guess you can label people hardcore gamers, you can label them gamers, you can use all these sort of labels. I don't really agree with labels. I'm just someone that likes games and plays games, and you can call me a gamer if you like, but I'm not aware of whatever this tweet said, by the way. I don't know, so I can't comment on that. But yeah, I'm not really fussed about labels. We should probably stop labeling people and just enjoy what we enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. People are way too bogged down about labels and identity, and it just doesn't. To me, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I mean, even people who play solely just play board games. You're a gamer. You're playing games. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
I have one exception to this rule, though. Of course, I do.
Pokemon Go.
I was watching, and this is what kind of led to me doing podcasts and now the Spacies show to begin with. I was a big fan of IGN and their podcasts, and they later switched to calling it a show, which I adopted as well, which is the reason why it's called the Spacies show now, not a podcast. I figured that makes sense, that it's not just an audio only experience. However, they had sometimes guests on their show that obviously didn't know anything about gaming. And so that, to me, is the one exception, is if you are in an industry or being paid to comment on gaming and you don't know anything about games, you shouldn't be on that show. That's where are you a gamer or not a gamer becomes a bit important there in that case, where you're being paid to do a job, and that is to talk about gaming. And so I was watching that one particular episode where they had these guests in from LA that were, their role was to comment on the showbiz industry and movies, etc. And they had them in on a PlayStation show or something like that, and they were asking them questions about gaming. They had no idea what they were talking about. You could just tell that these people do not play games. So that's when I was getting rattled, and that was the reason why I said, that's it, screw it, I'm doing my own show, I'm doing my own podcast, and here we are today. So and then now,
that's a bit of a different situation where if you're doing a gaming show, of course you're going to need to play games more than the casual person. You're probably going to need to play more than just mobile games to be able to go on IGN and do shows and that. But also people that play a lot of games also have rubbish opinions. Like, didn't IGN say there's no good Sonic games ever at one point?
You're entitled to an opinion, and I think that if they don't believe that there's any decent Sonic games, well, that's great, that's their opinion. I obviously do not agree. I think that there are rubbish Sonic games. We all know that. It's not like it's like some sort of well-kept secret. The Sonic 06 and the story series, I think, would be best forgotten, to be quite honest. But yeah, I think that if you're getting paid, though, to be commenting on games, you should be more thoughtful of the audience that are watching and not making comments like, oh, there was never such thing as a good Sonic game. That was just such a... I could tell that they were joking, but it didn't... The internet doesn't have a good sense of humor sometimes, and it really rebounded on them that they were getting...
Not when it's fanboyism. You get a lot of sensitive people say things like that, then they're outraged.
Yeah, and I get that the Sonic fan base is a little bit scary at times, but when you're making comments like that, you deserve the flack. I think you deserve all the flack that you get. And believe me, the Sonic fan base is not something you want to mess with, because there's some scary...
You don't attack all that shit.
There's some scary characters. There is some scary characters running around in that fan base.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've pretty much moved on, touched on that a lot. So I'll move on to the next question. Next one is from Dr. Nerd. Dr. Nerd from Dan Reed's Games. Okay, Dr. Nerd, what have you got for us?
Hi there, Synth Spacies, Sorax Space, me Machine Dean, and the Grumpy Retro Gamers. My question for you guys this month is, I'm a real fan of racing games. I love all types of racing games and have done since right back, probably Mario Kart. So my question for you guys is, if you could make a racing game by taking the best elements from other games, what would you do? How would you assemble the best racing game? Would you take, say, the cool flying cars from Wipeout and the custom ability from Gran Turismo and throw in some of the really fun, silly combat from Mario Kart? What elements would you include from other games to make the greatest racer?
All right, thanks for that, Dr. Nerd. Yeah, when we heard the term races, we thought for a moment and we were going to get really topical, but no, okay, racing games. Okay, racing games, I've got it now. I would like to see a cross between, I would just like to see a new Road Rash game. That's just my opinion. Road Rash is a franchise that has just been dropped, neglected, and dumped by EA. Maybe that crossed with Destruction Derby.
Ooh. It's a tough one. I mean, when I think of racing games, I think first of all of Mario Kart. That to me seems to be quite a perfect combination of good racing game and just generally fun to play and good multiplayer game. And also Micro Machines I like, but I'm just trying to think how that would combine. I don't think that would combine very well, Mario Kart and Micro Machines.
Sonic Races are better. Sonic Races is better.
You think so?
I enjoy Sonic Races better. There's more long-term playability in that game than there is in Mario Kart. And then a dead silence comes in afterwards. Okay.
I grew up in a Mega Drive and Sonic, but I prefer Mario Kart. I think that's a better game, but that's just my opinion.
I think the thing with Sonic Races is that there's more longevity in trying to unlock different things, whereas Mario Kart doesn't have really much to unlock compared to Sonic Races. We'll find out with the new one anyway that's coming out very shortly, actually. The new one is coming soon. Dean, have you got any thoughts on what makes an excellent racer? What components would you like to see? Let me remix the question a bit, because I think it's a little bit too in-depth. If you were to get two racing games and mold them into one, what would you do? What would you have?
It's a very difficult one, but I'd like to see maybe something like a Gran Turismo mixed with like a Colin McRae, where you've got like ultimate realism with ultimate rallying, because there seems to be this. I mean, rallying games have come a long way, but there's still that element of arcade type of things with it, but it just hasn't really hit that proper realism just yet. And I think maybe if they blurred those lines, we could end up with something quite cool. Although saying that, playing some VR games, racing games in VR can be quite scary, actually, how realistic it is. So having something like that, where you blurring kind of an arcade and a kind of simulation game together to kind of end up with that perfect blend in the middle might be quite interesting. That will wipe out VR, would be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think going back to Micro Machines, I wouldn't mind seeing a more sort of hyper-realistic version of Micro Machines with the original settings. You know, when back to the Mega Drive version of Micro Machines, where you've got the household settings, the pool table, and the kitchen table, and everything like that. Maybe Micro Machines on a hyper-realistic level, a bit like Forza or something along those lines, just to gel those two concepts together.
Oh, photorealistic Micro Machines game would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on, someone needs to develop it.
Yeah.
And we sort of defeat the purpose of Micro Machines, because you sort of see it from a micro level. But if you were to have VR Micro Machines, just in first person as well,
yeah,
racing through kitchen sinks and stuff.
Yeah, it'd be great on the toilet seat. I love the one on Micro Machines 2, I think it is. It's just on a toilet seat. You just go round and round.
With the dragster, wasn't it? I think it was
the
dragster. Yeah, that was damn tough, that one.
Yeah.
I've got two games I'd like to combine. Destruction Derby, once again. I'm fascinated with that game. PlayStation, anyone who hasn't played it should have a look at it. Yeah, Destruction Derby with, I don't know, House of the Dead. Just running over zombies. It wouldn't get old, would it? Or actually, no, I'll scratch that. Well, that's one suggestion. Another suggestion would be, say, a racing game, Formula One, but with RPG elements, so that you got to try and make your way. Because one thing from Super Monaco on the Mega Drive that I really liked was that you had to try and go up to different teams. You started off with the crappy team that was really amateur and didn't care, and you slowly worked your way up to the Ant Senate style, the Top Gun team. I liked that. It was like you had something to race towards to try and get to be a better racing team. So having RPG elements in the background would, I think, be an interesting take on racing games. I think they're starting to do that more with sporting games in general now. EA.
I just thought of another good game, Burnout. I really like the Burnout series, but that's sort of more ram the cars off the road than racing. So.
All right, I think we got a few good ones there in, so thanks for that, Dr. Nerd. Next one comes from Shane Battens. Shane, what have you got for us?
Hey guys, my question for you is, what is your favourite game from Japan? I've been playing Zombie Revenge on the Dreamcast at the minute, so I thought it might be interesting to see what you guys sort of would pick in terms of what your favourite Japanese game is. Cheers.
All right, thanks for that. A real open-ended question there, Shane, but we'll try and do our best with it. And my camera's frozen. Oh no, I'm back again. Okay. Yeah, my favourite Japanese game of all time is Shenmue, but is that a Japanese? I guess it's set in Japan, made by Japanese. But is that really what you're? I don't know what kind of angle you're going for there with that question. What's the most Japanese game you guys can think of?
Yakuza?
Yeah.
I was going to go Japanese development, but the only game that comes to mind is Ikaruga, which I absolutely adore. Purely because it's one of the, even though it's absolutely ridiculously hard. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Yakuza. It's Japanese themed.
Dead silence. Crickets here. I'm just going to maybe elaborate on this. I think the importance of Japanese games has become less relevant in the last 10 years than it was back in the day. It seemed that all the good games were coming from Japan, and now America and Europe have just not only caught up but overtaken to a degree the Japanese development side of the gaming industry. At one stage, it just seemed like nothing good was coming out of anywhere except Japan. That's no longer really a valid statement. Would you?
I have just thought of one. I have
as well. I've got one.
IQ on the PS1 or Kirishi final. Have I snapped it out of your hand?
No. I was worried you were going to get mine.
Good.
Well,
I didn't. There we go.
Yeah. I wish I kept hold of this game. This is probably the most Japanese game I've ever played in my life, which is Odama for the GameCube. This is a voice-activated battle. Battle pinball game.
Yeah,
it's a pinball game.
Yes.
Set in historical Japan about all these different battles that took place.
And it's compatible with the microphone.
Yeah, it's got a microphone with it. And I bought it on release. When it came out
on release.
Yeah, I got it mid 2000s, I think it was. And it's one of the most unique games you'll ever play, especially with the peripheral as well, the microphone. And it's probably the most Japanese game I've ever played.
Did you actually have to shout in Japanese at it, or was it in English?
I got by, just a little bit.
What about Incredible Crisis on the PS1? Was that Japanese? I think it was.
I think it had a Japanese main character, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think.
Sure it is.
It's a very tough question.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is a very tough question, but I think it kind of sheds light on, like I said, the fact that Japanese gaming is no longer as predominant as it used to be. But having said that, it's my personal favorite. Any games usually coming from Japan usually get my attention because they've just got such an unusual take on. They're just weird. Let's just call it what it is. The Japanese developers are just weird, and I love that. They're not afraid to try and go left field. They don't, like, America seems to want to be, everything's got to be realistic and it's got to be real, and the Japanese are just like, screw realism, let's just try something that can't be real. And that's why the Japanese games always appeal more to me than the ones from the West. Because if you were to leave it up to the US, you'd have FIFA 2022, 23, 24. That seems to be the extent of the West's imagination. Although they're getting better. They are definitely getting better.
RPGs are one of my favourite gaming genres, and the JRPGs seem to be up there with the best of them. They seem to do very good story-driven games, and the characters are always very good. So
very stylistic as well. Very unique in their style. I noticed in some of the JRPGs, very stylistic. I always find.
Yeah, so sorry for our drab answers there to your question, Shane. We'll move along. Sega Master Tim, my ex-colleague from the Sega Hotline. What have you got for us there?
Hello, it's Sega Master Tim here. Hope you're all having a good day or night. And yes, Presser, I've got the right t-shirt for your show. Anyway, my question is this game. Now, Alter Beast, not exactly the greatest game that ever came out. I think it was only 5 or 6 basic levels, walking in one direction, kicking, punching, very basic storyline, and obviously a boss at the end of every level. So my question is for you. Now, let's look at that cover. That cover shows so much potential, doesn't it? Look at him, just sort of nasty ass werewolf dude. So my question is, what if they made a remake? We keep on hearing about remakes of classic games, but a lot of people just forget about this because simply the gameplay was bad. It was so basic. But you look at the cover of that and you think, this could have been so much more. What if they ramped up the graphics? What if they ramped up the gameplay? What if they had more moves other than kick, punch, and whatever the special move was? Just add more to it. And also include, and it's something that everybody wants in this day and age, more gore. Alright, so tell me what you think, guys. A remake of Altered Beast. I'll leave it to you. See you later.
Alright, thanks, Tim. Altered Beast, yeah. We had a joke running, I think it was Columns or Altered Beast. We said that if we left a whole box of cartridges out the front of the Sega Hotline, just out in the open, no one would take them. That was our joke of either Columns or Altered Beast. So Tim was basically saying that they should have a new Altered Beast game, but with more gore, make it 3D based, make it realistic. I think it comes back to my prior topic, comment where they're making games have to be realistic now. Everything has to be realistic. I don't know. Could a realistic Altered Beast game work?
Very much depends how they do it. I'd have to see it. It'd be quite difficult. They did make another Altered Beast on the PS2, and I didn't play it very much because it was quite bad, to be honest. But even the original, I didn't enjoy the original that much. I know it's a classic, and it's on the Mega Drive, and it's quite a bad thing to say because it's quite a classic on a Mega Drive, and it was originally packed into the Mega Drive until they changed it to Sonic. But
I think it's a little bit over. So yeah, sorry, I think it's a little bit overrated. It's enjoyable. I think it's very, very difficult especially when you get some of the later stages. But maybe that's just me. But yeah, it's an enjoyable game.
But to me, it's not great. I don't know how it could be good. A new one, yeah. As you say, if they focus too much on realism and not fun, then yeah. I don't know. I'd have to see how they do it, I suppose.
So I'm old enough to remember when Altered Beast was just an arcade game, and it was a big deal when it came out. It got everyone's attention in the arcade because, you know, the big graphics and the weird concept of transforming into a werewolf or whatever, a bear. And I do remember getting excited to play the Mega Drive version of that and seeing how faithfully they recreated the arcade experience. Whether that game, though, can be taken from an arcade form to a modern game that's going to be worth putting in more than, say, 20 hours worth of gameplay in, I don't know. RPG elements in it where you're leveling up your stats and whatnot, make it story driven. I don't know, how serious do you want to get with this goofy concept?
I genuinely remember playing this. I remember playing it quite recently, and then it suddenly dawned on me how absolutely mental the storyline was. So if they are going to remake it, I would like to see as many weird elements thrown in as possible, just to make it even more mental than it already is.
Well, it seemed like to me that the guy that came up with the idea for the Altered Beast game had just watched Jason and the Argonauts and went, "Yeah, we've got to do this." So, and that's what they got Altered Beast and Golden Axe out of watching Jason and the Argonauts. So they got their money's worth out of watching that one movie. Why isn't Jason and the Argonauts a game? Has that ever been made into a video game? Does anyone know?
I think it may have done. I think that rings a bell. I think it may have done. I have to look it up.
Yeah,
or something of the same theme.
Yeah, Jason and the Argonauts was such an epic movie for its time. It's obviously looks shady now compared to what we've got to watch in 2019. But for the time, that guy that put those stop motion animations together for those skeleton fighting scenes, that was. Like, could you imagine what people would have been thinking when they first saw that? There was nothing else like it at the time.
So, Rise of the Argonauts was released on the Xbox 360 and PC.
There we go.
Judging by the looks of it, it was shit. There's your answer.
We got a few questions coming in on Twitch. The Twitch stream is struggling, I must admit, and I do apologise for that. But we are getting questions in. Or comments. Someone's saying that a fun fact behind Bubsy 3D, because we are playing Bubsy 3D apparently, is that the guys that made Bubsy 3D went on to make Siphon Filter. So, yeah, with every crap game, there's always a silver lining.
Right.
What else? People that made Bubsy 3D should be shot.
Yeah, there's that. Someone, Content Machine has written here, if Bubsy 3D came out on the 32X, it would blow people away.
No, it would probably blow up your 32X.
No, it wouldn't. All right, well, yeah, I do apologise. I think I got to set my Twitch settings properly because it's just coming out all wrong. Anyway, moving back to the last question we've got for this show. This is from Cameron Hans. Cameron, what have you got for us?
Oh shit! How did I get in here? Anyway, while I'm trying to figure out how to get out, I've got a question that I've decided to ask the guys on the Spacies show, episode 6. My question is, what do you think is the most overrated soundtrack of a video game, the most underrated soundtrack of a video game, the best soundtrack of a video game, and the worst soundtrack of a video game? Now that I've asked those questions, I think I'm just going to figure out how to get out. So I better call for help, see if there's a phone. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? I better call for help. Where's... Fuck!
Alright, Cameron, yeah, you kind of cheated there, mate. 4 questions in one. Kind of rude. And I do hope you get out of that sunroom eventually. It sounds like you're struggling there, mate. So you've asked overrated, underrated, best and worst soundtrack. I'm going to switch this out and make it that the question is best soundtrack ever. Who's got something there for us? I mean, I've got one straight away, but
yeah, it's straight away as soon as I thought of the best soundtrack. Probably a predictable one, but it's Streets of Rage 2 for the Mega Drive.
Yeah.
I bought the soundtrack on vinyl from data discs, and it's a joy just to actually play the whole thing all the way through. It's just wonderful.
And boys and girls, you can watch that unboxing. It's on the Grumpy Retro Gamers channel. Sorax?
Fantastic soundtrack.
What's one that comes to mind for you?
I really like the Streets of Rage 1 soundtrack as well, actually. That's another one that should be mentioned. But one that came to mind was Sonic 2, just all the way throughout, is one of my favourites of all time, definitely. And also like Final Fantasy 7.
Oh, okay. A little did you know fact about Streets of Rage 2, that the guy that came up with the soundtrack for the sequel, Streets of Rage 2, was a little bit scared that that he was going to upset the composer for the first one, because it was more, they went more in a techno mode, whereas the first one was more sort of, I don't know, jazz. He thought that was going to upset him, but apparently they said, no, it's cool, let's just go with it. So that's the reason why you got a slightly different sounding soundtrack in Streets of Rage 2 compared to 1. For me personally, Shenmue, but that's for on an emotional scale. The soundtrack on that game is just on a level that wasn't done prior, I think. Final Fantasy series, although Cameron thinks that that's overrated. Sorry, Cameron, I liked it.
I'm racking my brain. I think I'm going to go one retro and one sort of modernish. So I think the modern one, I'd probably go with the original God of War, because that music all the way through makes you want to tear up the whole of Greece and everything else. So consistently all the way through, it was brilliant. But if we go for retro, and there's a technical reason for this, Donkey Kong Country on the SNES, and the reason behind that is it's an amazing soundtrack all the way through, but it's the way that they actually constructed the music to actually fit all of that data actually onto that cartridge. I wish I could find a video. I always refer to it. It was a brilliant video of how the guy actually managed to get all of the information on the actual cartridge, and just for that amount of work and effort alone, that's why I'm going to pick that.
It's kind
Brian,
of
sorry, Brian, you might be able to tell me what the the original, the Sega logo that comes through on like the Sonic cartridge.
Yes.
Wasn't that like most of the space on the cartridge taken up by the intro?
It was half of the memory on Sonic 1 was dedicated to that intro alone. And I distinctly remember when talking about this with a guy that kind of helped me start up with being, he kind of helped me got the job at Sega by making my own magazine. He was like this 60-year-old guy that used to sell video games and import them from Japan. And I still remember him like ranting, because I said to him that, oh wow, the new Sonic game is going to be so cool, because I'd seen it before he did. And I said, it's got the Sega logo and the chant at the start, it's really cool. And I was ranting about it, and he said, well, that sucks. And I said, well, what do you mean that sucks? That's awesome. And he goes, it sucks because they've probably used more than half of the memory just to do that. And he was right. He got it right.
That's a great point though, because I think modern days, I mean, as I mentioned, God of War, they probably recorded it with a full orchestra and amazing sound and stuff like that. Whereas obviously in the retro days, it was trying to pack as many kilobytes of audio into such a tiny amount of space. So that's why I think it's quite nice that all of us has mentioned something that's retro in terms of its audio, and it still holds up even till today.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the Streets of Rage soundtrack had actually used a similar technique to what Donkey Kong Country had used, and that was that they had to... the reason why the soundtrack on Streets of Rage 2 sounds as good as it does compared to most other Mega Drive games is because he had to get a Roland sound drum and sample the beats, and then he made his own sort of... program to come up, like a computer program to develop the soundtrack, so that using the most minimalistic sounds possible. And so that's why he could cram in so much music into such a small space. And obviously the developers, in particular at Sega of America, were not using this kind of technique, and it showed. The Sega of America soundtrack games, they were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. Kid Chameleon, also, what's another one that comes to mind? Sonic Spinball. They just got rubbish soundtracks on them.
So this is testament to how timeless the Streets of Rage soundtrack is. Yuzo Koshiro was playing it in a London nightclub not too long ago.
I've watched that. I've watched that on YouTube. That was so cool. It had the crowd really getting into that too.
Yeah, another one is the Mega Man soundtracks are pretty good. I haven't played much of them, but they're all pretty good.
All right, we're going to move along. Well, that's all the questions from the guys. So thanks to everyone that did send in your questions. Please keep sending them in. I was just mentioning before the show was starting up that my goal is to have people just sending in questions all the time so that I can keep them in a folder and just have the best ones picked for each episode. So send in your questions, make them no more than a minute long, and make them in landscape, and send them to synthspacies@gmail.com. That would be the best way to send them. If you send them in via Twitter, Twitter compresses it and it looks like garbage. So I figured that the best way to do it is send it via a Dropbox link, and send it into us via email to synthspacies@gmail.com. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the guests that came onto the show for today. The original outro was lost, so this is a recording post-edit. But I was able to salvage most of the show that we did record, and that's kind of part of the reason why you're seeing audio only on this video. But I'm working towards getting these issues fixed so that episode 7 of the Synth Spacies show should be back to normal. In the meantime, check out the Grumpy Retro Gamers channel, also Mean Machine Dean, and also Sorax Space. Their channels are definitely worth checking out. I can't recommend them strongly enough. And in the meantime, my name has been Brian, and I've been gaming since Spacies. Thanks, guys.
Since Spacies.